All right. Welcome everyone to today's prep session. Our theme is more movement, active bodies, engaged minds. Today's webinar explores the essential role of physical activity in learning. In this prep session, we're going to explore our hype resources and how you can easily integrate movement and music into your classroom. So let me introduce myself. My name is Pixel. I'm with Hip Hop Public Health, and I am joined by my colleague, Jennifer, who will facilitate today's session alongside our guest facilitator, Aaron Hart. Today's session is also featuring our special guest, Ronnie Rodriguez. Lindsay Har was unable to be with us here today. For those of you who are new or returning to this space, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are watching the recording, we are glad you tuned in. A little bit about Hip Hop Public Health. Hip Hop Public Health is a nonprofit educational organization that was co-founded by legendary hip hop artist Dougie Fresh, known as the pioneer of human beatboxing, and neurologist Dr. Olajide Williams, also known as the Hip Hop Doc. Together, they started creating fun, catchy hip hop songs grounded in science and designed to share important health messages with both young people and their families. Today, we work with many artists, and we have more than 250 free evidence-informed multimedia health resources that inspire people of all ages to care for themselves and for those around them. Prep Sessions is our new monthly webinar series for educators. Each month, we spotlight one or sometimes a few of our toolkits and resources, walking you through practical tips and strategies you can use right away in the classroom. These sessions are short and focused, about 45 minutes, so you can get inspired, learn something new, and get back to your school prepared to use what you learned. So here's what we have planned for today's session. We have the hook, which will start by exploring the impact of movement in the learning and development of students with the support of our guest, Ronnie Rodriguez. Next, we have the verses. Aaron Hart will walk you through our hype resources so you can get your students active in the classroom. The remix, finally, we'll open it up for question and answer so you can ask questions. You can start thinking about your next steps and feel free to put your questions in the chat as the session goes along. One housekeeping rule, actually maybe two. You can reach out to Pixel, Jennifer, or myself, Pixel or Jennifer, anytime using the chat or the Q&A feature. We'd love to hear from you, and we will reply either in the moment or during a pause. And just a note about the chat feature. So in a webinar like this one, similar to a regular meeting, when you open the chat, you can select whether you're chatting to everyone or the host and panelists or specific panelists. The default is on host and panelists, so if you want everyone to see your comment, please make sure to find the Everyone tab. Okay, so I will pass it on to Jennifer.
Thank you, Pixel. So we're going to get started now exploring why physical activity is so critical in building healthy minds and healthy bodies. So for today's session, it's about the power of physical activity in helping students learn and take care of themselves in and out of the classroom now and in the future. So what we know from the data is that fewer than 1 in 4 children ages 6 to 17 are getting the recommended 60 minutes of physical activity per day. And on average, children 8 to 18 spend 7.5 hours a day watching or using screens. So this is the context that we are working with. And at the same time, we know the benefits of children being physically active. So even short movement breaks, like the ones that we'll show you later, can improve attention, behavior, on-task learning. And this can help you as an educator, as kids who get to move are less restless and more cooperative. So we know that it supports their physical and emotional well-being. Movement in school can also build physical literacy for life. So when we help students early on build the skills, the confidence, and the enjoyment in movement, we set them up to stay active and healthy long into the future. So our guest today is a very passionate advocate for physical activity and physical literacy. Ronnie Rodriguez is a physical education teacher and wellness advocate serving New York City schools for the past 17 years. Ronnie began his career as a founding member at the Sheridan Academy for Young Leaders, where he established a PE program, a school wellness council, before and after school physical activity programs, and school-wide physical activity breaks. He served as a national trainer for Let's Move Active Schools, supporting schools in implementing comprehensive physical activity programs through Shape America. As part of the Office of School Wellness Programs with the New York City Department of Education, he was a PE instructional coach for the city's PE Works initiative. And in the past 3 years, Ronnie has returned to the classroom as a PE teacher, and most recently as an adapted physical education teacher. So together we are going to discuss Ronnie's big why for the work that he does to get students to be physically active and physically literate. So let's welcome Ronnie Rodriguez to the floor.
Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate that warm welcome. And it always feels a little uncomfortable hearing how many years I have been doing this amazing work to help children. First and foremost, I'm so excited and happy that Hip Hop Public Health and all of you have joined this prep session with me tonight to discuss something so important, so near and dear to me, which is physical activity. Physical activity is one of the fundamentals of being a human being. We are embodied, and through our embodiment, we are able to produce movement. And that movement is essential to our overall holistic well being. This work as a physical education teacher allows me to impact children as early as 3 years old, because I'm working with children in 3K, pre-K, and forward
Wow.
to understand their body, understand why movement is so essential to the human condition, the human experience, to thriving. And in doing so, they learn a lot about themselves. They learn about a lot about the environment around them and how they can use physical activity to enhance their life and enhance the quality of their life. So this is something that has driven me my entire life and continues to drive me in my career now currently as an adaptive physical education teacher. I love this work and I love to help my fellow human beings to be their very best.
Thank you, Ronnie. Yeah, I've known you for a long time, and your level of care and passion for this work is on another level, I think. And when I think about your background, your history, everything that I just shared earlier in your 17 years, I'm curious about where that comes from. Where did that start? Where does that passion, like what nurtured that passion that you still, almost 20 years later, still carry that passion? Where is that? What is that about, Ronnie?
Thank you so much, Jen. That's a great question. And I will be remiss to not speak on physical literacy to answer that question. One of the philosophical underpinnings of physical literacy phenomenology, essentially our perceptions and our experiences shape the way that our future experiences will go and how we perceive the world in that regard. My life started in wonderful Dominican Republic. I am an immigrant. I was born in Villa de Vicente Noble, Barahona, Dominican Republic, and as such, my formative years were spent in a rural part of the world where physical
Mm,
activity was a way of life. It was completely
mm,
a way of life. To commute from one place to another was walking. Games were hide and seek, tag, who can climb the tree the
mhm,
fastest, who can retrieve food, who can carry the most, things that were very practical and applicable to
mhm,
life. That really enriched my childhood. So when I came to my family migrated to the United States as a third grader. I was 8 years old. The first
mm,
person in the education system that I made a real connection with was my third grade physical education teacher, Mr. Grant. Truly amazing. And again, a testament to the fact that most of communication is nonverbal and physical. The physical education teacher connected with the student who was not able to speak the language, but through movement and my love of it, I found a connection and a passion that allowed me to really acclimate to school life and to American culture tremendously to the point that in middle school, I joined a football team and I was
mm,
really excited about movement. Went to high school as well, played high school football, ran high school track as well at John F. Kennedy, one of the biggest high schools in New York City at the time. And under that tutelage, my coach was a physical education teacher as well. Really inspired me to fully integrate training, uh, running, pushing my body to its physical limit in the pursuit of being the very best that I can. I went on to play college football and run college track. I was Erie Community College first in Buffalo. Then I went to Cortland, played football there, ran track there as well. At Cortland, I really honed in the passion for physical education and understanding the human condition and helping my fellow human beings to also reach their very best. Out of Cortland, I was very fortunate enough to become a founding member of Sheridan Academy for Young Leaders. There, I was able to create a program which truly enriched the trajectory of my life. At the same time, I became a dad. So I
Mhm.
have a daughter who will be 16 this coming December. She's a junior in high school. I also have a 9-year-old son. But to speak back to my daughter and the pivot that she put into my life. After I finished my time at Cortland, I still was very much interested in sports and pursuing football at a professional level, whether that meant me playing, me coaching, or being involved in that. So I was pursuing that. But then I became pregnant. My partner and I became pregnant with our
Mhm.
daughter.
Mhm.
I immediately went to use my college credentials to, teach and fell totally in love with being in an elementary school and reaching those children to the point that I literally walked away from sports and that mindset and totally immersed myself into pedagogy and just the
Mhm.
value of seeing fellow children who come from other countries who are acclimated and being that person as same way as Mr. Grant was for me to help them acclimate to this society, to help them to understand why physical movement will be so impactful in their life, in their education career, giving them the motivation to want to learn. Because in my view, physical activity is learning. And through
Mhm.
that, through getting someone to be physically active, they're more self regulated through that self regulation, more belonging. Through that belonging, they feel connected to the community. And if the community is pushing them to learn, they will learn. And I believe that every human being is capable of learning at a level appropriate to them. And there's no greater way to drive that in than through physical activity from my worldview. Yeah,
That's
that I mean,
beautiful. Wow, I
thank
love
you,
that
thank you,
story.
Jen.
You know, what's so fascinating is that when there was a language barrier, physical activity was your language. It was your form of communication and your form of connection and your form of getting accustomed to a brand new culture and a brand new world. That's beautiful. And I know that you have a passion for teaching physical literacy. So in your bio, I didn't share it earlier, but you also state, I live a physically literate lifestyle and aim to inspire every human being to embrace and value their unique physical literacy journey. So how do you define physical literacy in your philosophy and in your words?
Awesome. So, in my words, physical literacy is the human capacity for movement. The fact that we are embodied beings that can move. That movement enriches our life. Because we have a body, there is a mind. And with our body, we can impact our mind. And through our mind, we can also impact our body. It
Mhm.
means that I am aware that I am a living, breathing human being in an environment. And for me to totally interact with this environment, I have to produce some form of movement. Even
Mhm.
speaking, the vocal cords have to move for me to produce the sound. When I'm reading, my eyes have to move. If I'm not able to use my eyes, I have to move my hands across different surfaces to decode that. So everything is physical in a sense. And I feel my life work and my mission, my calling is to
Mhm.
remind as many human beings as possible of that
Mhm.
reality that we are living, breathing human beings and that movement is absolutely fundamental to what it means to be a human being. Something that AI or AGI will never be able to replicate. The living,
Mhm.
breathing human being. So to remain relevant in the future that's moving in that direction, be as human as you can be. So physical literacy to me is becoming the most human that I can be through acknowledging that I have a body, that my mind and body are one, and that that is also part of a larger environment that is in one with the human being as well, and becoming
Mm-hmm.
more in tune with that. So it reaches for me levels that philosophical levels or level. It's a way
Mm-hmm.
of life. It's no longer what I do or my career. It's literally how I think, breathe, and move in my day-to-day life. My environment at home. I have gymnastics rings ringing in my hallway. I have a treadmill. I have pull-up bars, dip bars, push-up bars, squat racks that are in my living room. Because again, if anyone, I'm here in New York City, so
New York
space is
City. New
small.
York City.
So I'm
That's
speaking
what it
not a
is.
suburban house in an apartment because it's
Yeah.
such it's embedded
Yeah.
into
In
everything
your
that I
life.
do.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. Into your
right.
environment.
Yes.
And even in small environments, you're able to integrate physical activity into your life. So this as you're talking feels like this is your calling. And I'm wondering what you think is the call for educators across our nation. There's people from all over the country that, that will have access to hearing you speak. What do you think is the role of educators in teaching health literacy, um, increasing physical activity, um, and health equity? What do you see as their role in that?
Every teacher, regardless of what subject area you teach, is a living, breathing human being. Understanding that it is our responsibility to ensure that we are our best. And that includes health literacy, physical literacy, that we're aware of ourselves, that we know where to reach to for resources that are appropriate for our development, to teach the youth where to find those resources, to show them where things are in their community, to model to them proper way of living, that you allocate time in your day to be active, that you allocate time in your day to improve your health outcomes through nutrition, through sleeping, through ensuring that you're regulating your nervous system, spending time in a community, doing something beyond yourself. That so modeling the teaching profession as a whole is to inspire human beings to seek knowledge for the rest of their life, because education is a quest from birth through death. It is throughout our entire life. So as an educator, we're helping human beings to understand that and to live that. And the highest form of teaching, in my opinion, is us modeling that in front of them. So any teacher can do that. Does not have to be the health teacher. Does not have to be the physical education teacher. Every adult that is working in education, that is standing in front of children, everything that you do is a form of teaching. Your very presence, your attitude, the way you engage with them, the fact that you have their attention and can guide them towards learning experiences that help them to understand why it is important to be healthy, why it is important to be active, and how that is going to affect them, the individual, and how that affects the larger collective of us. Because everyone's health and everyone being their best affects everyone else. It is not isolated to that person. We're all part of a collective. And whatever happens to one, in short, will ripple throughout the sphere that is the human collective. So educators have a pivotal role to be role models in health literacy, physical literacy, and showing students why that's important and why that's foundational to what it is to be a human being.
You mentioned their role in connecting them to resources, and in a little bit, we're going to talk about Hip Hop Public Health's HYPE resources, which I know you've used with your students. I'm curious to know what motivated you to try them out and what impact you saw that it had on your students.
Awesome. So we have to take a flashback now to a very precarious time in human history, COVID. So during COVID, I was working at a elementary and middle school combined. It was K through 8. So I was responsible for the middle school portion of online physical education and also in-person physical education when schools were open in a hybrid format. I'm always, one of the things that I do within physical education is teach health related fitness. That is one of the pillars in my physical education program, no matter where I am. To that end, Hip Hop Public Health partnered with the Cooper Institute for aerobic fitness, and there are hype videos which address flexibility, muscular endurance and strength, cardio, and flow. So I assigned the students to do this. We did it as part of class. We would engage in the dances. The dances had different people that reflected the student body, so they saw diversity. Also, in many of the videos, there was a advanced, a mid, and a low level. So now I can tell students, choose the level that's appropriate to you. Also, you can change amongst any of these levels at any time throughout this. Some of the videos were lengthy, so I was able to break it up into sessions. And it huge impact that the students, some of the students really loved it, really loved the music component to it, the fact that they got to dance in their house with their parents. Some of their parents got involved, and then we also did
Nice.
it in the live session. So I would put it on, like we're doing here in this format, and then I would actively be engaging with it. Very engaging and on par and content wise. So as I was teaching them about the health related component, there was a hype video that was associated with the health related component. And as well, since teaching about FitnessGram, the partnership with Cooper Institute was incredible. So again, all of these institutions and people, human beings, coming together to help our fellow human beings to be their very best. Yeah,
Beautiful. Awesome.
thank
I'm
you.
glad that that it came in handy during a time where you had to be creative and you had to figure things
Yes,
out, and that you were able
yes.
to help kids to get moving at a time where kids weren't moving. So thank you for looking for what's out there and meeting that need for your students. So, one last thing, Ronnie, before we wrap up, is that I love to close out our time together with a message about you from one of your former students. Would you be open to hearing that?
I would totally be open to hearing it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. So ready?
Yes.
Uh, Mr. Rani was very open and motivating and encouraging. He would show everyone different ways to be active in a way that they would like. He would give us ideas to make the class more fun, and he would let us give him ideas too. He would never get upset with the class. He would never let anyone sit out. He taught me how to throw properly, and he taught me that being active keeps my mind strong. Overall, Mr. Ronnie was a great teacher. He would make everyone happy, and it was the favorite class for the students in my class. So thank you, Ronnie. Thank you
Wow.
for the work that you do. Goes a long way, more than you probably even know.
Thank you so much for that, Jen, and thank you for sharing that. That definitely heartfelt. Thank you. Thank you. I aim
You're
always
welcome.
to co-create these experiences with the children because it's for them ultimately.
Well, they feel it. They feel it. So thank you, thank you. And we'll hear from you, Ronnie, later today during our Q&A. And now we're going to move into the verses.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate it.
Ronnie, Jennifer, thank you so much. Ronnie, you had me in waves, remembering my early time in my, like, what inspired my physical education, thinking about what I've done as a teacher, and then really actually wanting to hang some rings and bars in my house. So thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next part, which is the verses, where we'll walk you through today's featured resources. We're going to highlight key activities that show practical ways to integrate movement into your work with your students, and talks about the hype breaks that Ronnie was mentioning. So we'll dive into this month's focus, which is these hype breaks. You can find the hype breaks in our on-demand learning studio. This is what it looks like, a screenshot. The hype breaks are approximately 7 to 8 minutes long, and the hype breaking it down videos are 2-minute movement breaks. We will drop that into the chat shortly. If you click on the hype breaking it down, you will then see the names and videos and a description of each of the resources. Again, these are all free. And to talk us through the hype breaks, I want to introduce Aaron. Aaron Hart is a committed physical education leader, curriculum innovator, and educator. He began his teaching career in New York City public schools and later took on roles as an adjunct lecturer at the physical education department at SUNY Cortland. Aaron co-founded the initiative known as Open Online Physical Education Network, whose core mission is to provide high-quality physical education curriculum and professional development resources freely and equitably to PE teachers everywhere. As the executive director of Open and now serving as vice president of curriculum and program engagement at Varsity Brands, Aaron leads the development and distribution of web-based curriculum, teacher training, and program engagement initiatives aimed at advancing quality PE, equity of access, and community empowerment. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about how teachers could use the hype breaks in their classrooms and gyms.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I could listen to Ronnie all day long. That was amazing. Making Red Dragons proud. So when we started kind of putting this presentation together, one of the things that I wanted to really kind of punch out for everybody is that in order to do the hype breaks, you really need to have a screen and a sound system for your students to be able to hear and listen to these incredible videos. If you do not have a screen and a sound system in your gymnasium or the classroom area that you teach in, one of the best ways for you to advocate for that is by going in and really taking a look at the research that is behind hip hop public health and specifically multi-sensory, multi-level health education model, where we're blending the science of learning with art and culture to really help all of the concepts that hip hop public health advocates for come alive for the students. And I know that as a kid growing up, we would have PSAs on the television that were set to music. And I'm assuming that some of you that are on today or watching the recording have a PSA or some sort of message, educational message, that's kind of burned into your brain because it just matched with where you were at that particular time. So that's really the learning science behind hip hop public health. So go to hhph.org/research and use the resources that are on there to advocate to your administrators to say, hey, I need a projector in my gymnasium. I need a television screen and a good audio system. The other thing I would urge you to do is go to the instructional best practices that are on the Open website. So open.varsityuniversity.org/best practices. And we're going to talk about one of the white papers that we have on there around universal design that's listed, but we have a lot of information that can tie together with what you would want to present in order to get the resources you need to make these hype breaks actually come to life in your gymnasium or whatever classroom situation that you're in. All right, so let's hop to the next slide. And this is where we get to actually watch and, if you want to, participate in a hype break. Here we go.
Hey, I am Mark.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ixia.
This is Breaking It Down. If you are seated, you've got Ixia dancing with you. And if you're standing, you've got Jamie on your side. If you are going all out, you're dancing with me. Your move right now is called the push and party, y'all. We're gonna celebrate and party it out.
Hey.
All right, so a little slow. All you're gonna do is tapping your shoulder and pushing yourself away from me, right? So it's push, now party. Give me some party arms, yeah. And push. Good, can you add some hips there, yes? You can use your whole body, even your face. Show me a party in your face. Push it back and party it out. Good. Push, right? So you're using your whole body to twist back, right? You're pushing that shoulder. Good. One more set. Boom. Now party it out. Yeah. Party over here. Let's go tempo. It's going on. Here it is. Boom. And party. And push. And party. take your whole back, lean back. Come on. Party over here. And party over there. You're partying with me all around. Come on. 4 more. Yes. 3. Party. Fiesta. 2. Y 1. Party on. That was Push and Party. Thank you so much for partying with us. Hope you had fun, and see you soon.
All right, hopefully you got to see some professionals do this on the screen, but if you're watching the tiny box with me in it, you know that even old guys can get a little bit of physical activity with this particular style of movement. So if we click on to the next slide, again, I'm just going to call out the best practices that you can grab on the Open Phys Ed website. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at universal design for learning specifically. So I've got to give a shout out to my colleagues at Brockport, Dr. Lieberman, and all of the work that she does to advocate for universal design. But it really matches very, very nicely with the height breaks and how this can be implemented in your classroom. And you can see that as they were designing these height breaks, there was a lot of thought that went in them for universal design. And it's evident in the resources that you can get. So go ahead and flip to the next one. All right, so as we go through these bullets, what we're going to do is we're going to check out UDL, Universal Design in the Height Breaks. So the first bullet, we'll click on next. What you want to do is you want to anticipate learning diversity. And I love when we were listening earlier to Ronnie and even in the testimony of his student to say, great physical educators really make learning very unique and specific and come alive in a person's entire being, right? So we know that all of the students that come into our gymnasium and into our classrooms, they are going to represent a huge diversity of learning styles, of learning preferences, of movement preferences. So we need to anticipate that. And what I love about these height breaks is that it really meets students where they are, right? So you can go all out and you can, get the party arms going crazy, or you can just kind of hang in the back and, just start to get the idea of what the rhythm is until you feel more comfortable or moved to do so. So anticipate learning diversity at the very beginning. So the next bullet that we're going to talk about here, if you want to click on that one for me, is adapt equipment for access. So again, beautifully designed in this, we have a person who's sitting down. So, what we want to make sure we do is we want to have everyone see themselves in what's being represented here. And you know what, it may be a person in a wheelchair that needs to be able to move with the rest of the class in their chair, but it also might be somebody who's just low energy that day, or somebody who is on the sidelines because they have, an injured leg or some other reason that they're just sidelined for that particular day. I love the way that it's really inclusive and it just screams accessibility when you look at it on the screen. So no real need to adapt here. One thing that I would say, if you have students who are visually impaired, make sure you have good subwoofers. Make sure that they can feel the bass as it's coming through, and shut your gym door so you don't interrupt anyone else. All right, so click on the next bullet, redesign rules for success. The biggest thing, honestly, for me, and I introduce height breaks with my students here at SUNY Cortland. I teach a class that's specifically for classroom teachers, and I also teach future physical educators. And I introduce height breaks, and I make sure that I am up and doing the height breaks with them, because that immediately redesigns the rules for success. You don't have to look like the dancers on the screen. You can look like Mr. Hart and still have fun. And so it kind of takes a lot of the fear away from my students. And I can see immediately, the students who are dancers or who are prone to love dance, they're going to get up and move. Everyone else might be a little bit more apprehensive, but when they see me moving, for some reason, they feel like they can at least do as well as I do. So make sure you get out there and you do the dance with them. All right, the next one, shape the environment for access. So again, what you want to make sure you do is have a screen that's large enough. And there's also other incredible resources on Hip Hop Public Health, including music, that you can utilize in order to make all of this come to life in your teaching. But what you want to make sure you do is make it as inviting as you possibly can. Make sure that all students are comfortable and feel welcomed, and shape that environment so that they feel like it's been designed for them. All right, and then finally, we want to deliver instruction in multiple modalities. So again, we have the video screen. We also have students who feel like they can follow along with the instructor. Don't be afraid to pause and rewind on any of these videos. That's the greatest thing about this all being on demand, is that you can hit pause and you can say, okay, we're going to take this one step at a time, a little bit slower. And if you want to follow along with me, you can. The other thing that I would say is, as you're watching these, pull out some of the cues that are being said to us in the videos, and then utilize those cues with your students. And you can even utilize them in writing, and you can give them reminders. You might want to post it on a board so that they can see a bulleted list of what the cues might be, and that will give them another visual representation, as well as the demonstration that's happening on the screen. So unpack what you're going to do with the respect of universal design for learning, and it will help you feel more comfortable bringing dance into your class. And I know that probably the folks that are on this and on this session today and watching it as a recording, you might have a little bit more comfort with dance, but I'm going to encourage you to introduce these resources to your classroom teachers as well. This is a great movement break inside the classroom. So if any of those kids need to kind of get up and move, and they should get up and move on a regular basis throughout the school day, not just physical education time, not just at recess, but give those constant movement breaks, please introduce these height breaks to your classroom teachers. All right. I think I'm going to turn it back over to Pixel.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what, Aaron, you're welcome to stay on, or I'll call you back on if I need you as I go through these toolkits.
Sounds good.
I want to all right, great. Thank you so much for delving into them. I love picturing you at your college class moving. I totally would be someone, even as a dancer, who would feel more comfortable once you got up, because so I love that as a tip. So I want you to know what these toolkit materials contain on our website. First of all, you can register for our website. It's free, and then you have free access to everything. We will put these links in the chat. And then once you're registered, you can go to the lessons, and then you can bookmark them as you need to. For our hype toolkit, so we have these hype breaking it downs that Aaron was just talking about, and some of them have been built out into lessons and what we call toolkits. So I want to show you what those look like, and they build out the social emotional messaging that's in the video. Let's see here. So one of them is called Open Up, Level Up. The idea is that expression is good for your health. This lesson is designed for grades 3 to 5. It supports students in sharing their feelings as they discover the importance of opening up, and they develop strategies for asking for help. Now, this can easily be adapted to any grade. The 3 to 5 means that it was originally designed for students who can have some level of reading and writing ability, although the teacher could adapt those parts for students who are younger, or level them up for students who are older. So using the height break, open up, level up, they also learn about the value of movement for expression. The activity is blended with social emotional skill building that makes this lesson more than just a classroom activity. It's a movement. So let's look at the lesson plan first. First, you can easily determine the learning objectives by looking at the lesson plan itself. Having a slide, there you go. So you can see the learning objectives. Second, you can see what health and physical education standards are met in the document. And here's an example of some slides copied directly from the toolkit. They are animated and scripted to make it easy for teachers to adapt them. Opening up here, you can see means saying something simple like, I forgot my lunch, or something more emotional like, I wish I had more friends. That it's really about building trust and building emotional safety. So you see this character saying, I wish I had more friends. I feel happy today. I forgot my lunch. trying to encourage students to think about opening up in a wide range of ways. In the lessons, a group agreement is prompted before students move. Let's agree on this. You move how you move is what you can say to the classroom. What does this mean? It means that everybody is different. Movement doesn't look like a certain way. It just needs to feel good, safe, and right for you. Sometimes teachers are prompted to consider things like asking students to move like something in nature, where they're not copying another person, but they're trying to animate a sound or the breeze or a bird, for example. And then what does it mean to level up? So leveling up is about growth. This growth can come in many forms. It might mean speaking up, practicing something new, or recognizing your progress. I told my mom I don't like creative writing. I ran an extra lap in phys ed today. I got to the next reading level this week. These are all different ways someone might think about how they've leveled up. Get grounded. Then teachers are prompted to help students get grounded or find a steady place from which to start moving. Being grounded means feeling stable and strong, having our balance, and being connected solidly to our body and our space. This is a screenshot of that slide, so you can see that the slide gives talking points and even a few educator notes down below. So should you use this lesson, you have additional guidance beyond just the slides. Open up moves. So here's a quick breakdown of the dance moves used in the video. You can see the themes of open and level up physically expressed through the wide arms for the open up and the upward motion for level up. And this is what the dance consists of. Open up, level up, open up, level up. Now let's try it. So I encourage you to follow along. You can stand or sit, just find a way to move that feels good to you. And we will play the video.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mark.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ixia.
This is Breaking It Down. If you're seated, you're gonna stay with Ixia. If you're standing, you've got Jamie on your side, and if you're going all out, I'm your guy. Your move right now is open up and level up. So take a wide stance here and just get grounded. Yeah, feel that beat. I've got my feet just slightly bigger than my shoulders, right? Shoulder width apart. Now I'm gonna lean to the side. I'm gonna open up, now level up. You go up. Yes, now open wide. Back to center, get tall, and then get low. Open, close, get high, and get low. Good. Wide arms. Good. Reach up tall, boom. Now you can sit a little lower if you want to, right? Jamie's gonna keep it more right in the center. So, but it's really a centering, opening, and a leveling up. We got one more slow, and then we're gonna pick it up, because you all got this, yes?
You got it.
Yes! Here we go! And open up. Level up and open up, level up. Now, if you want to.
Just for time, I'm gonna cut us off there and watching it, but I think you can imagine the way that this could infuse a concept into your class, not just a physical movement. Each height break lesson also includes simple checks for understanding. These are low pressure ways to reinforce learning while keeping things fun and interactive. So there are slides, there are questions students can follow and that you can share with them. So that's an example of open up, level up. We have a couple other lessons like that you can check out. You can message me personally after this if you have any questions or need help finding something. So as we move into our last portion of this webinar, we're going to take some questions and answers, and I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Thank you, Pixel. So now we're on the last parts of the remix where you have the space to consider how you can bring these lessons to your students and ask questions of our guests here and our Hip Hop Public Health team. So what questions do you have about teaching these lessons? Feel free to drop them either in the chat or in the Q&A feature. And you can also raise your virtual hand to be invited to get on camera, or not get on camera, but to be unmuted and speak your thoughts.
I have one question here, which is, in a day, when would you use a 2-minute video? In a day, when would you use, I'm assuming the person means, when would you find time, or when would you fit in just a 2-minute video?
Yeah.
Jen, maybe you want to hop it to one of our.
Yeah, Maybe Ronnie,
Yes.
Ronnie or Aaron. Ronnie, maybe since
Sure.
you used it.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So whenever you want to introduce this topic, you can infuse a 2 minute video. Whenever you feel that your class is being restless, they're not responding to directions in a proper way. This is a great way to infuse now a 2 minute. Everyone get up. Let's have a break. Your body is screaming at you, telling you to get up because you've been sitting too long. But now, as we're moving, we're going to move with purpose for these next 2 minutes. Here's what we're going to do. So now they're getting, as
Mm,
Paul, as Pixel said, now we're getting not just the physical activity, which is learning in itself, but we're also getting learnings in social emotional responses, how to open up and how to express our feelings through movement. So 2 minutes can be infused anywhere. It could be used as a redirection for your students. It can be used at the start of a lesson too, because again, whenever you are moving more, you're able to retain more information. So at any moment in the lesson, you can put it that you deem appropriate, but you would have to first establish those structures with your class. So they're aware that that is something that happens, so it wouldn't be disruptive.
mm.
Ronnie, that seems to go well with one of the other questions, which is after I do a movement break in my classroom, sometimes I have trouble settling the students back down. Do you have any advice? And that
Awesome.
could go
That
for either both of you.
I can start. Awesome. So whenever you feel that you end the movement break and the class is still going because now their heart rate is up, you need to get them to understand the physiology. Heart rate is up, you're excited,
Mm-hmm.
you want to be and continue to move. So now we're going to take some breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, or you shift them into any other calming activity that you have that can transition their heart rate back down to close to resting so that they can now feel comfortable sitting back down. So that's also a learning right there, understanding how to regulate your heart rate from going up and down. And the children will respond that way. Again, why it has to be part of the classroom structure, so that that way students are aware that these breaks will happen and that this is part of the classroom flow.
Yeah, I'll jump in and just agree with Ronnie. One thing that I did have done with my students is we'll do something called 5 finger breathing, where the kids will hold up their hands, they'll take a finger, and then you breathe as your hand goes up your finger, and then you exhale on the way down, and then inhale on the way up. And by the time they get around, they're usually settled down. Again, I think it's important that they understand that this is kind of a game, right? Where they're trying to impact their heart rate. Like, how, can you get your heart to
Mm,
slow down and kind of gamify it in that way? They don't realize it's settling everything down, but then when they get into a situation later in life when their heart rate spikes because of stress, they now have a tool in their toolbox that they understand they can get their heart rate to come back down. So agree with you 100%, Ronnie.
You
I
said
wish
that
I had had you
masterfully,
both as
Aaron.
phys ed teachers. Thank you. We have one more question I'm seeing. I'm nervous about teaching dance to my kids who might not take it seriously. And I think Aaron, you started to mention this during what you were sharing. Would you want to elaborate or answer this teacher's question?
I mean, I think it's important that we just don't take ourselves too seriously. And watching me dance is a perfect way to have the kids understand that it's joyful, right? It's supposed to be an expression of joy. And last night, in my class, we ended the class with a Soul Train line. And as we got to the
Ah,
end of the Soul Train line, the students had to say an affirmation about themselves and then an affirmation about one of their classmates. And the reason we did this was because I could tell that these kids were just stressed out from a lot of different things. And I just wanted to loosen the mood up. And of course, I went last and I wasn't going to go until they asked me to go, which by the way, they always ask me to go. But then it's a big deal that Mr. Hart goes through the Soul Train line. And by the end of it, they're cheering and clapping and it's so much fun. So I think that there's a few things. It's a little bit of peer pressure because if everybody's laughing and having fun and there's 2 or 3 kids that are like determined not to take this seriously because they're just not, whatever, then I think that by you having fun, engaging the rest of the class, and just showing that this is joyful movement, will hopefully bring them into the fold. I haven't found 100% success rate with anything, but all we can do is really try. And so hopefully that helped answer. Ronnie, do you have any other advice besides just bring me in to let the kids laugh at me dance?
I do the same thing. One of my number one approaches to both adaptive PE or any one of those situations where people are reluctant to move, I just throw myself into it and hopefully, and I love that you said that nothing is 100%. So it's trial and error. But in most cases, I do get then students to join in once they see me also doing it. And it's kind of, group theory and how people respond to seeing, peer pressure, exactly, but in a positive way, because you're trying to get them to do something that's in their best interest.
Great. Well, thank you so much for answering the questions. If more questions come up or you're watching this on the recording and have questions, you can reach out to us at Hip Hop Public Health. Jennifer, I will pass it to you as we start to wrap up.
Yeah, so we're on to the next steps. So research shows that people who leave the workshop with a concrete plan for their next steps are more likely to integrate what they've learned into their work. So take just another moment to think about what is one concrete next step that you'd like to take to bring more movement into your classroom with your students. So think about that. And feel free to drop it into the
while
chat.
you do that, I'm going to launch yes, please feel free to put it in the chat. I'm going to launch a short poll just to ask you 2 questions about today's session. So you should see a Zoom poll that has popped up. We'd love your feedback, and we want these spaces to work for you. So we welcome you to tell us anything about your experience today. And while that poll is open and the chat is open for your responses, I'll just let you know, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Aaron, Ronnie, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I literally feel inspired to increase the amount of movement in my own life today from this session. We look forward to seeing you at our next prep sessions titled Teaching for Belonging, Physical and Social Emotional Adaptations That Work. You can use the link that's in the chat or the QR code on the screen to register for the next session. And we encourage you to check out the prep sessions calendar and think ahead about which offerings you want to include both in your teaching schedule and then add them to your planner and sign up for the prep sessions so that you'll be all set to teach those lessons.